So
one of the things that I'll readily concede is that solving the problem of, thank you, Citizens United is not going to solve all the problems of democracy. Revert to democracy as we knew it before 2010, in which there were different elements that had very real advantages over others, and that's a continuing process. But the complete deformation of American democracy that has taken place since 2010 under Citizens United is, I think, really unprecedented since the Gilded Age of corruption in America. And I think that needs to remain a key focus. Art?
I was just going to, because I think some of these things we're touching on that sort of public financing side of things, and Megan talked about obviously the pre-Citizens United. I can't disagree at all. I mean, I think that the notion of the absurdity of the Citizens United decision was just beyond pale. And even if I remember right, even Justice Kennedy, I think just again naively really believed that disclosure was going to naturally come out of this and things like that. And I think perhaps, perhaps where things would be, you might have.
Not for nothing was this a decision rendered by the first Supreme Court in United States history that has no member who has ever run for political office or has the slightest experience in what politics is really like.
Yeah, and I just, because again, one of the things, as Senator Church said, we're a small state, we're an urban state, so our district, the price of running in a small district kind of state like this is actually a lot less, and so I do worry about sort of outside money, but at the same time, it seems that we might have that opportunity to be the next fight. I know John and I talked about this at the end of the session, John Marion, but I do think that public financing at least might be that next chance for us to get another case before the Supreme Court, because I don't know otherwise what, I mean, I would love it if we could get the legislation you're talking about, but I know you guys have talked many times about the green pornography, is that we call it there, that weird thing about like not being able to discuss fluorescent light bulbs with kids in school, or these kinds of things are just absurd. And so I'm just wondering. Well, again,
I would just say, I think 10 years ago when people tried to speak about campaign finance reform, I think a lot of people's attitude was it's sort of a process thing. It doesn't really, it's, they weren't interested. I think we're in a very different place as a country. I think the American people understand this is very much a substance argument now. It's not just, we don't like the way things are, but it's affecting our ability to actually get the work done and drowning out the voices of ordinary Americans by special interests. So I think we made that first case and people now get it, and I think people are much more aware of this issue. And when I'm out talking to constituents, I talk about Citizens United and co-sponsoring the Constitutional Amendment to reverse it, it's always an applause. I mean, people get what that means to our democracy. I think the second one that the Senator mentioned is the other piece that we have to really stay focused on, and that's the threat of the use of secret and dark money. The stuff that no one ever sees. I mean, there are rumors, I don't know if this is true, but there are rumors that there are special interests that actually produce commercials and go to members of Congress and say, here's what we're going to put $1 million behind if you vote this way or that way. And actually go through, which no one ever sees. It is the most nefarious kind of poison. Imagine that it's the threat of big money. And so,
and it's a bargain. Right. It works. You don't have to spend it.
You don't have to spend it. But which is why we the people and the version in the House of the same set of bills is important, because it's a whole set of bills that talks about disclosure and banning members of Congress from becoming lobbyists and public financing and reversing Citizens United, because you do have to stop all the different ways that money can find its way into the system.
But even the Koch brothers, they were, again, I was almost forgotten about it because the presidential race went so weirdly on the Republican side. But they were talking about almost $1 billion. And again, there's a overt threat right there with knowing there's $1 billion hanging out there waiting to jump on this.
Well, they spent $400 million of it in 2015. They've promised to spend the other $350 this year, and they're, by all reports, on track to do that. And they have clearly said, on the issue that they care the most about, which is being anti-environment, that anybody who tries to cross them on climate change is in political peril, and the threat is a very public one, in addition to the private conversations that we never know about. And if you look at the history of just that issue, you can see over and over and over again Republicans standing up and doing good things on climate change until 2010. Constant heartbeat of activity until 2010. Citizens United comes and it's like an EKG monitor going to a flat line. We haven't heard a thing since. And Americans for Prosperity, the CEO of the Koch brothers' main front group, Americans for Prosperity, has claimed credit for that through this process. So it's not as if they're pretending this isn't the case. They're admitting that they won because they had this club to swing. And what they have done is focus on Republicans. I gave a speech on the Senate floor railing against the wretched Koch brothers. And as I was leaving the Senate floor, one of my Republican colleagues came up to me and said, "What the heck are you complaining about? They're spending more money against us than they're spending against you." And if you look back, there was a period in which the Koch brothers were spending more money against Republicans to beat that party into shape than they were against us. And that's what they have done. And I'm now getting the signal that our time has expired. Thank you all very much for participating in this conversation. I think it's really, really important. When you think back to what Rhode Island has contributed over the years, from blowing up the Gaspee, just down the bay, sending people to fight in the Civil War, to the heroes who went from here to both build the ships that won World War II and to fight those battles. When you think what Americans have done to leave us this democracy in our hands, to now have this generation be the one that turned it all over to big dark money and corporations would be a really disgraceful piece in our national history, and we have to push back against it. And I particularly thank Congressman Manchin and Congressman Cicilline for their roles in what I call a hostile work environment for these issues, and Nellie and Juan and Art for their leadership at the state level. And thank you all very much.
Thank you.